Hi. So I made a post about if you do not have mania, then you do not have bipolar disorder, and people go and comment, yeah, that's not true and it's incorrect. And so I'm going to endeavor my best. Not my words, the words of the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual of Psychiatry, and the ICD-11, the International Classification of Diseases, and leading psychiatrists and psychologists at medical universities all over the world. I'm going to try and explain a few terms so that people can actually grasp what it actually means. Okay. Bipolar disorder. The name itself explains it. Bi means two. Polar, poles. Two poles. The one is depression, the one is mania. So if you have mania, you have bipolar disorder. The defining feature of bipolar disorder is mania, not depression. Because if you only have depression, you do not have bipolar disorder. Even one manic episode in your lifetime or hypomanic episode in your lifetime would mean that you then have bipolar disorder. If you do not have mania or hypomania, then you only have, then you have major depressive disorder or another mental illness. So that clarifies why mania is required to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Forget about 1 and 2 and hypomania. Mania needs to be there, whether it's intense or not, or often or not, that's irrelevant. It needs to happen at least once in your lifetime, and it needs to be either mania or hypomania, then you will have bipolar disorder. Now you have only depression. That means you do not have bipolar disorder. It means you've got major depression or another mental illness. Okay. Bipolar disorder 1. It means that you've got depression with mania. Bipolar disorder 2 means you've got depression with hypomania. It's not less intense, less severe than bipolar disorder 1. It only means that your mania is hypomania, which is a less severe form of mania. But the illness itself is still bipolar disorder. It's just classified differently because the treatment of it differs. That is why the correct diagnosis is important, because it affects your treatment. Psychosis. Psychosis is not a mental illness. It's a symptom of mental illness. If somebody is psychotic, it means they are in a psychotic state, meaning that they're showing a symptom of mental illness. It's not a mental illness on its own, it's a symptom of mental illness. Schizophrenia means that you have thought disruptions and that you lose contact with reality, you hear voices, and so on. This can also happen in bipolar disorder, but then it's named with psychotic features. You don't always have it. If you're diagnosed with schizophrenia, it means that it is a constant thing. It's not an episode that happens. Now, some people show symptoms of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Then it's called a new illness, schizoaffective disorder. That means that you show symptoms of both bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Then you get two more, bipolar NOS, not otherwise specified. That just means that the general feel of bipolar disorder is there, but it's not intense enough for them to diagnose you, or they're not sure, then they say not otherwise specified, but you still have bipolar disorder. And then the fourth one is cyclothymia, which means it is almost bipolar disorder, but it doesn't qualify exactly to call you as somebody with bipolar disorder. Then they call it cyclothymia. It's basically, although I don't like calling it less severe, a less severe form of bipolar disorder. So I wish psychiatrists and psychologists would explain this to their patients, because their patients do not understand it and they do not know, and then they say things that are not correct. Bipolar disorder, the name itself explains it. You need the two poles, mania and depression, hypomania and depression. Bipolar disorder 1 means depression with mania. Bipolar disorder 2 means depression with hypomania, a less intense form of mania, but you still have bipolar, the global term bipolar disorder. Schizophrenia, loss of reality, thought disruption, schizoaffective disorder, when you show both the symptoms of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Not otherwise specified if it's not included in bipolar disorder 1 and 2. Cyclothymia, when they want to diagnose you with bipolar disorder, but you do not have all the symptoms of bipolar disorder. I hope that gives a little bit more clarity. And the reason why it is important is because that affects your treatment. I hope that gives more clarity on the difference between all of those. Take care. Bye-bye.